Welcome back to Dare to Overshare, my favorite topic in the world, oversharing. And today I have a friend here with me, my next guest, Chad the Maverick. Now, Chad is an astrologer, which is fun. I don't know what we're going to even talk about today because what I love about my episodes here is that I tell everybody, come with something to overshare, come with some hot takes, but you don't have to tell me what they are. So I'm really excited about it because I've known you for a little bit and you're not afraid to say it like it is.
No.
You're not afraid to tell your opinion.
For sure.
So that's why I wanted to have you on today.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here for Dare to Overshare.
Yes. Okay. So first things first, I want to do a vibe check. So tell me how you're feeling, like actually feeling.
How I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Not in a bad way. I just finished doing some readings today, and like we just talking to people about like the depths of things, you know. It's really fun. It's what I do for a living. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, I'm tired. There's a solar eclipse happening today. And I think it's so ironic that you call the astrologer during a solar eclipse to be like, hey, you want to talk about your life and all the things there to overshare? And it's just, I'm excited though. I'm a little tired, but excited. I'm feeling a lot of shifts that are just happening in not just the world, just in myself even. So like, I'm just excited to see what comes up in terms of this. Yeah.
I love that. And obviously by the time this episode drops, it won't be a solar eclipse. It'll be some other thing, some other eclipse or some other whatever's going on.
100%.
But I have a question about that actually. Yeah. Do you think that as an astrologer, when you know, like, oh, this eclipse is happening, this retrograde is happening, when you know, does it make life easier or harder for you than for somebody maybe like me or someone who doesn't always know exactly what's going on and you kind of live more oblivious to that? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Because like, I definitely pay attention to the transits because I have to also tell them to everybody else, right? But I don't let it control what I do in my everyday. I think that's something that's a common like misconception or something that a lot of astrologers or people who are spiritual start to fall into at a certain point is that, yes, these patterns exist. Yes, these things are happening. But when people get a little bit too much involved with them to the point where they can't just, hey, maybe I just whimsically want to do something anyway. Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. Don't take a trip. Well, what if you took a trip and then everything that you actually wanted happened during that trip because you were thinking about it for so long? Like, there's certain things that I feel like have gotten misconstrued based off of like some older traditional stuff that doesn't fit into the modern world that we live in right now. So I try to go my best about like the everyday because, yes, it's good to know that it's happening, but it's still happening one way or another.
Right.
So even if I do know and I can notice it, it's still going on. And so even if someone's oblivious, they also still have the sense of that because it's just what's happening in the sky. It's just our way of looking at how it works, honestly.
It's probably for you, it's just more like you can navigate things based off of your knowledge, whereas other people that don't have the knowledge, they might feel it, but they don't know why. They can't put like a word to it.
For sure.
Whereas for you, you're like, oh, well, if it's a solar eclipse, so of course this is happening.
Absolutely.
It's so fascinating to me too, because I've just been getting more into astrology lately, just based off of, you know, one of my clients that we work for together. And then also just like a book that I'm reading. And then now I just have more people in my circle that know astrology.
For sure.
And the more I learn about it, even on like a very basic level, the more I'm like, wow, I didn't know anything. You know, it starts to dawn on me like, I thought I knew some stuff, but man, there's so much to know. Like, I don't really know.
It's a lot more of a science than people assume because we always lean to the personality aspects, or at least the pop astrology wave for the last however long has been just, oh, this is your personality. And that's it. Like, I know you're a Gemini. Oh, you're a Gemini. I know Geminis. They're one of them. She's a Gemini. It's like, what does that mean? Like, what?
But I am very Gemini, right?
For sure. But that's because you have a lot of Gemini in your chart.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, oh, I have an entire chart. Like, oh, I have 10 different things that spell out my personality in a different way. And that's why like every chart's a snowflake. Like everything is completely different from the next person. Even twins have different charts. Yeah. It's a very interesting.
Do twins have different charts because they're born like a minute apart?
Yeah.
So, because otherwise if two people are born the exact same time in the exact same location on the same day, then they would have identical charts, right?
So it depends. Like, this is why like these are the slight variances, because like you can have something that's like 1 degree off And based off of how they get raised and how they have their own personal temperaments, right? Those things can look very different. That's why there are twins that are like very different, but they might do similar things, but they run in different circles. Or they might like similar things, but they do it in different ways, or they might be completely separate. Some are inseparable because they do have such a close relation to one another, right? That's that, the twin synergy or whatever.
So
I forgot the exact terminology for it, but yeah.
Yeah, so fascinating. All right. Okay, so let's get into our topic. Oversharing is caring. So what does Chad want to overshare about today? You just want the whole world to know this is what it is.
So overshare?
Yeah.
If you don't learn your main parts of your astrology going forward from 2025 and beyond, you might have a bit of a harder time navigating the world coming up. So I think there's a lot of situations that are happening just in general between media, between the country, between all of these other like thoughts and belief systems that it's going to be really hard for people to kind of remember themselves, or to be like, oh, like this is happening in the world, but what's happening with me? Like, how could I control my day to day? How can I be a better person or a good person in my day? And I think like astrology kind of helps you ground that in a certain way. So my hot take is if you don't learn astrology, you might have a hard time.
Oh, we're mixing oversharing and hot takes together. I love it. Sometimes an overshare becomes a hot take because it is just something that it's just something that maybe people are going to be like, what? What do you mean? Okay, so but you specifically said from 2025 and up. Why do you think that it matters more right now than it did 2 years ago, last year, whatever?
Yeah, I think, well, to let you all know, but
yeah, drop the knowledge.
Basically, the planet of dreams, illusions, and grandeur, so to speak, is entering into the sign of Aries. And Aries is all about identity. And so when the dream, like the dreamy, ethereal, I feel something that's beyond this, but I don't know how to explain it. That's been happening for the last 14 years because Neptune's been in Pisces. Now that Neptune is going into Aries, it's starting to like, you have to almost imagine a dream like through your body. Like people who haven't been starting to go for their dreams or start on what they actually care about, they're going to start to feel like a real tension, like in their body, like I need to do something. Like what's going on, right? And I think that's going to be going on for quite a while, right? For the next at least like 14 years off the top of my head.
Because it's like a generational thing. Okay.
So you see, she knows a couple of things.
I mean,
she's modest, but yeah.
I'm like just learning what I can. It's so fascinating. So, okay, so you're saying from this year on that if I'm just trying to say it kind of repeated in layman's terms to see if it makes sense. So if there's been somebody out there or people out there who haven't pursued their dreams yet or have had something inside of them that they really want to do but like haven't taken the step, that they're going to start to feel like antsy about it?
Very much.
Okay.
And it's going to be like very prevalent. Like you'll see people and be like, why is this person so maybe like disturbed about something? Or maybe it's somebody at work and it's like, you know that they don't really want to be there, but they're like a little angrier than normal. And you're just like, well, what's going on with you? You having a bad day? And it's like,
they might not even know, they don't know this. Like they don't realize.
Not at all.
That average person who doesn't know astrology.
Yeah. And so, or even just like in general, like if someone wanted to like always do something creative or do something related to sports, I'm not saying that you have to be like the biggest actor or like the next biggest singer, or like just get involved with the things that you care about. Because when you're not involved with the things that you're caring about, especially with these time frames coming up and forward, it's going to lead to a lot more tension. And then that's where people are going to be a little more upset in general, perturbed, if you will.
So if you guys have things you want to start doing, the astrologer says now is the time. So I guess it's a really good thing that I really launched this podcast.
Yes.
Because it's been boiling in my blood and I've been feeling so antsy about it. And here we are. Yeah. And then for you, obviously being an astrologer, doing readings and things like that, like you're doing the thing that you're meant to be doing too. But there's so many of us who we have these dreams and these hopes and just think, oh, that's never going to happen. That's 1 in a million. Oh, it's too hard to start.
Right. And I think the problem that people don't understand is that it's always one foot in front of the other. And I think that that's what this transit is trying to show people who may have had a harder time doing that. Or they're like, oh, I wanted to start maybe doing content, but I missed the wave of it. It's like, did you? Like for all you know, you step into that and next thing you know, like you're at the top of your game immediately because maybe you spent longer like spending time with what you enjoy versus just trying to run out there and do that. Like everyone's going to be at a different playing field for that. And there's still going to be challenges for people who are already working on what they enjoy. Don't get me wrong. There's always
something.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I know I'm going to have to fight for what I care about. And that's the main differential where like maybe before I was like, oh, I'll just pass it by. Oh no, it's okay. Oh, I'll just wait my turn. No, that's not what this. Don't do that. It's just where it's like you have to really take that step forward.
That's really something to ponder on for a lot of people out there, just to like meditate on, to sit with, like, what is it that's really calling your name? I think something that I know that like I never wanted to experience on my deathbed one day is to be like, oh, I wish I had tried that, or I wish I started that project. Like I never wanted to do that. That's why I just start so many things, even if they quote unquote fail. I don't really believe failing is like, you know, it's its own term. Like even if something fails, it's like, what did you learn from that? What did you gain from that? And I just think like there's so much beauty and power in just doing something that you feel passionate about, even if it doesn't turn into your thing.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
do it.
This actually does lead to a natural overshare of mine.
Great. I love it. Please.
We just go with the motion.
Bring it on.
So it's funny because like I think my desire to let myself become an astrologer and like an artist and creative, because I do creative work outside of this, just literally music, everything. Like I'm just everywhere else too, right? You know, and the stars on the earth somewhere doing some art. That's just how it works, right? But when I was younger, I had to help take care of my grandparents when they were basically on, you know, their last days in terms of everything. So I would be in like the nursing homes, or I'd be like sitting down with them. And I was a curious kid, so I'm just talking, I'm asking stuff, right? So I remember like when my grandfather, he was on his like last days and we were spending time together. And I remember having just conversations, not with him, but with other people that were around. Because I was just a nosy kid. I'm like, I'm getting the cranberry juice and just asking people stuff. Like I'm, you know, whatever. So it's funny because I talked to so many people and just like, hey, like, since you're old, you must have done a lot of stuff, right? I'm like a kid. And someone's just like, you must have done a lot of stuff. Like, what's your favorite thing? Or like, did you accomplish your dreams? And a lot of them were like, no. And I was like, what? They're like, no, my life's awful. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Right? Like I'm like 8, 9 years old, maybe, just like, what are you talking about?
You're scared that when you're old, you're gonna be like that.
I was like, is everybody just mad? Like it was one of those like real like revelations.
And they're in a nursing home, so they're probably just feeling like all sorts of scary and sad things.
So as a kid, I don't know that. I'm just like, hi, older person. Oh my God, right? So for me, it was like interesting because they were like, yo, the one thing I heard that was a string, it was like, if only I would have. I wish I ought to. If only I told them how I felt, then they could. And I was like, oh, nah. Like, I have to, like, figure out how to live life for real, right? Which is something that I think my grandfather did, right? Because when I would talk to him, he there was never a time where speaking to him that he felt out of place, or that, like, I thought that he felt out of place. So I look up a lot to like, you know, my granddad and the energy that he had, because like out of everybody else that was like, oh, I wish I did this. Like I looked at him, he's like, I did what I was supposed to do. I'm here.
So you had hope because you were like, well, at least my grandpa's not being like that.
Yeah, he was the coolest, man. Like, you know, just very stoic. Just had his eyes. You just look in his eyes and you're like, you have accomplished everything.
What did he do? What was his thing?
So he just like, I again, just now we're getting the Rolodex, but he worked a bunch of different jobs, but he was very involved with like the church. One of the biggest things, he like, 4 kids, taking care of like 4 different kids during the times of like racism, like in Connecticut, like dealing with everything that was like going on at the time. He ended up having to go into the army during World War II. If I'm not mistaken, he was a captain during that time frame. He was a higher ranking official than like most people, especially of color, were at that time frame. So like he just, like, every time I hear stories back from him in the different jobs and stuff that he did, he just always made sure there was food on the table. He always made sure that my grandmother was happy. He always made sure that like the people and the folks in the community were like well fed and like just felt loved on. And I think that's something that like carries over in me very strongly. And it's funny because I get into conversations with like my family, and they're just like, yo, with all the things that you set out to do between college, between like business, between everything that you like worked on, if you went to tell him that you were an astrologer, he would look at you so crazy.
Especially back in those days, like he was like in the war and stuff. Like the last thing on his mind was like, oh, the moon is in Pisces. You know what I mean?
Or who knows? Maybe it was, right?
Right.
I think it's one of those situations to where just like in the becoming of my own man, I think that like I've had like a better relationship and understanding as to like what sacrifices were made in order for me to have the privilege to do this to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that
it's an actual job that you can like make money on.
Yeah, it's something, it's a vocation. Like it's something that every time I try to step out of or away from, the universe was like, so then I'm like, okay, here I am. Let me do the readings, teach the people, give as much as I can in terms of that. And I think it has a lot to do with like just seeing how my granddaddy operated life. And I was like, oh shoot.
How does your family now, like whoever you, I don't know, are you like good with both your mom and your dad, or so like how do they feel about you being an astrologer? Do they have any opinions?
My mom has very many strong opinions. Hi, mom. Yeah, I'm talking about it.
Hi, mom. Yeah. Hi, Chad's mom.
100%. But she is just more of the like authoritarian in terms of like, yo, you gonna make it in this world. You gonna figure it out. I'm like, yeah, you're right. My dad just definitely was more on he saw the vision. I feel like with my dad, he's also creative in his own right in terms of like music and working in the music world. So a lot of even the conversation or the ability to do that like comes from that. So they didn't understand the astrology part. Mm-hmm. They're just like, he's doing something. What is he doing? Right? Because I was like, I started doing videos right after I got out of college. I had worked and done readings in like Boston in real life for like the first year or two of that. And then like when I got out of school, I was about to basically be like, oh, like I'm out of school. I got this marketing degree. The world is mine. I'm gonna whatever. And then there was no jobs. There was no jobs in my area. There was just nothing that fit all the work that I put in over the last 4 years. So for me, I ended up actually working at like fast food spot, just like upset, just disgruntled because I was like, oh, you're high honors. You're going to be so great. You're doing this. I'm like, wow, I got it. And I got that. I'm like, how am I back in the same spot that would have happened had I not done this at all? Right. And so for me, that like something.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I was talking about my parents, like, they're like, what are you doing? Because I'll just be like in my room, just like trying to like record a video, being like, screw it. I don't know how to do this. And so I they're like, oh, we hear about you from other people that we meet in the world. And they're like, oh, shoot, that's your son? I know him. I watch his stuff all the time. And I'm like, this is a different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so they must be proud because sure. Like you said, like sure. Sometimes we go to school, we graduate, and then it's like you still can't find your place in the world until you actually start pursuing your actual passion, right? Which is for you, astrology. And like, look at you now. Now, I saw a post that you posted on your story today of one of your clients or who, someone that watches your stuff, like saying like, this guy changed my life. And, this is that. So like, how good does that feel to know that you're able to do that for someone only because you're living out your truth? You're doing what you love, and now other people are benefiting from it.
To be honest, and even in the part of the overshare, I don't know how to take that. Like, it's been a really difficult, I'm in a strange position because like I get told relatively often where they're like, yo, like you changed my life with this. Or like I'll hear something back from people like 4 or 5 years later and they're like, yo, that thing that you did 4 or 5 years ago changed everything. And in my head, I'm like, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing then. Like I knew what I was doing, but I was like,
imposter syndrome.
Of course,
we all have it.
It's so for sure. But it was interesting because after like a bit, like it's like it's a repetitive thing where it's like, oh no, this did change. This did change. And I actually had a reading, I want to say like a week ago, and I'm talking to someone who is older, around the same age as like those people I was talking to at the beginning. And I'm talking to them and I'm like, hey, like, what's up with your life? And we're really getting into like a lot of conversations. They had met with like shamans and worked with them. And like, they just really had like a really strong amount of knowledge. And I remember explaining something to them because we had something very similar in our charts. So I'm like explaining something that's very similar to me, but like to them, and they are reflecting it back to me in a way. And I'm like, oh. And then she was telling me a story about the shaman that she worked with. And she was saying that as someone who works in divination, the only way that you really know that you've evolved is when people come back years later to tell you how much that divination impacted their life. Because like as much as I'm like, yeah, I'm an astrologer, it's not about me. Like, it's about the people that I'm speaking to and how I can open up their perspective to like who they are in a way that's outside of the, you have to be this or you should look this way. Like, we get caught up in the hoopla a lot.
Yeah, you don't look like the everyday astrologer.
Not at all. And
I mean, mostly, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of the time it's women, right, in general.
For sure.
And probably white women.
The Gwyneth Paltrow's of the world, yes.
Right. And so I think, and I mean, I think it's so cool to not be afraid to be like, yeah, I might, people might say things or this is what I'm supposed to be doing in this culture, but you're like, this is what I love and this is what I'm going to do. And I think that's actually going to bring you more people in your corner because other people that look like you are going to be like, hey, I've always wanted to learn this, but I didn't know how. And now I have someone I can relate to and he's cool and he's doing it. So I think it's great.
I appreciate it. And it took me having to see people that look like me and then get the permission slip almost from talking to those people that like, I was like, oh, like this is possible? They're like, yeah, just try it out. Start your YouTube. Do it. I was like, okay. Now we're here. So like, oh shoot, I guess like.
Now you're on my podcast.
Now I'm on the podcast.
You made it. Finally. Starting today.
Today is the first day. Solar eclipse. Look at that.
I know. We're changing lives out here.
Yeah.
This is also interesting. Okay, so I know you kind of did a hot take in the overshare, but I still want to get into some more hot takes. But before we do, I want to say I'm a little sponsorship because it's so exciting. Sponsored by Sunset Drip, Dare to Overshare has got their caffeination on deck. Okay, so this right here is Vietnamese coffee. It's delicious. If you would like a little discount, you can use code Jackie for $5 off. And cheers. I don't know if you want yours or not. No pressure if you do or don't.
I'll have it after.
Okay, we're gonna have a little caffeine. I'm having my caffeine now.
I am in the midst of yapping, so I'll have it.
Oh man, when I yap a lot though, because I'm doing like some back-to-back episodes. These saved my life in between.
I feel like as soon as after this, I have the energy because I'm having a great time. And I'm like, yeah. And as soon as it's done, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. You need it like on your way home.
Yes.
Yeah, a little to go. Okay, so let's do hot takes. I mean, as an astrologer, I'm sure you have a lot of hot takes where it might be things that a majority of people don't agree with.
Yeah.
But it's something that you feel very passionately about. It can be about astrology. It obviously doesn't have to be.
Just about like.
Because I'm like, you're also a human being.
True.
Like, you're an astrologer, but you're also just a human. You know what I mean? So your life, you have more to you than that. So your hot take could be literally anything.
Hot take?
Yeah. What's going on in Chad's brain?
My hottest take, and this isn't like astrologically sound. I feel like there's been so much like literature and just people, not even literature, just people talking about how relationships ought to be and how relationships are supposed to be versus like being willing to be in relations as people. And I think that that's been something that's been like very much like plaguing the world post 2020. I feel like after 2020, people just forgot how to like, I don't know, like be people.
Yeah, be human.
To be honest, right? Like I think like a lot of it was like we got so cooped up for so long that like when everybody came out, everyone was like in their own personality, but in a way where it's like, oh, I have to be mindful again, almost. And I think that since then, it's been just an interesting part to see how the relationship world, or at least the way that it's presented on social media from people, to where it's like, well, in a relationship, I need blah, blah, blah. And I feel like there's not a lot of reciprocation in terms of that, like just what I hear about. But that's just like a hot take.
You think you're saying it's more like people just are focused on what their needs are versus what they can contribute to make a successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, here's my checklist and you need to fulfill this checklist.
Yeah.
If you ever even want a piece of this. And it's like, But it's on both sides.
Yeah.
Like the sides in the middle, like it's like everyone's almost so caught up in trying to get into the next thing that they forget, like, oh wait, what do I like? What do I actually want outside of this checklist? Because you might have everything on the checklist, but now there's no chemistry.
That's such a good point. You can have everything on paper.
Mhm.
Like I've met guys that have like my top 5 sort of qualities on paper. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, why don't I feel anything? Where's the spark? And that's something that you can't have on paper because it's an energy, it's a frequency, and it's invisible.
Yep.
All these other things that you have. Oh, does he have good communication? Sure. Does he have a stable career? Sure. Is he generous and kind? Sure. Whatever. Right. Like you can like almost measure those things in a way.
Of course.
But then you like sit down and you're like, where's the banter? Like where's the fun, the playfulness,
Yes.
So that's so true. And then I think if you enter a relationship just thinking about what you need,
right.
Are you like using this person as like your personal desire fulfiller? Like that's not
right.
That's not really nice either.
Hot take. Because it's just like, and I'm sure someone is triggered and throwing the screen right now. Something. This is how it happens, right?
Comment below.
That's what the hot takes are. But honestly, it's just one of those circumstances to where it's like, well, what do you have to offer? Right.
Yeah.
Or like, not even what do you have to offer? Like, what are you willing to offer? Because relationships of all regard, friendship, whatever, it requires some sort of sacrifice at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that, but I know it'll make them happy.
Yeah.
So let me just give it a shot. Let me try that thing. Or like, there's just people have been, again, I think after 2020, I'm in my personality. I'm in my air. I know me. It's like, yeah, but what about your connection with other people? And I think that's been kind of warped at a certain point. And that's why people are like, oh, this is a relationship thing, or the way that it's supposed to be. Or it's like back in the day they did this. It's like, we have technology.
Yeah.
Like your great-great-grandparents didn't have a phone. There weren't a bunch of people on there that they see by accident all the time. Like it's
so different.
Very different world.
So different.
So it's like, I think one of the things that we have to do as people is just like learn how to relate to people in real life again. Because I think that's been like something that hasn't happened as much in the last 5 years, in my personal thought.
So bring it back to astrology. Do you think astrology has something to do with that shift?
Yes. I mean, obviously it always does, but I think like this is at least another hot take on that, where it's like, I don't like astrology compatibility like that because it doesn't speak to like culture. It doesn't speak to background.
Yeah, this is a good topic.
It doesn't speak to experience. It doesn't speak to how many people that you have dated, how many relationships were successful, how many relationships failed. Was it their fault? Was it your fault? Was it both of your fault? No one thinks about that.
So like you take someone's chart and someone's chart, full charts, and you're like, yeah, on paper they can be so compatible or not, but then you bring these two people together and it still might not work because of all those things you just mentioned. Yeah,
because like I can have perfect compatibility. Like I've had perfect compatibility with people and it just doesn't work out because it's like, oh, my needs may be different because I got brought up a different way.
Have you ever been in a relationship, either current or in the past, where your charts were actually like not good together, but you actually had a good relationship?
Do you want to know like an actual thing that like I don't think a lot of people get?
Yeah, I want to know.
Of course,
hello.
There to Overshare. I don't. All right, in dating, in the dating scene and stuff like that, I never looked at someone's chart before I started to talk to them.
But only after?
When they asked me to. But like, I think there's a lot of preconceived notion that comes from that kind of thing. And also like, this is like, I take this so serious. So like, there's like, of course it's like, oh, are we compatible? I'm like, nah. Why? Because
straight shooter.
No, but it's really just one of those circumstances to where it's like, we could look in and talk about, this is supposed to work. This is supposed to work. But like, that brings it back to like, but what about the other person?
Yeah.
As a person. Right. And that's why like it's like when you know what yours is, it makes more sense as you interact with stuff. But like, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Like it just goes back to like whatever's on paper doesn't always mean that in real life it works. I have definitely done these compatibility charts with previous partners, and sometimes the charts are so great together. It's like, oh my gosh, and then it obviously wasn't my person. It didn't work. So I think even with whether it's astrology, whether it's tarot, whether it's literally any type of practice, you have to just take it with a grain of salt and you have to use your intuition. And it's more like, would you say like just like a guideline or something to make, for me, it's something to get me curious. It's something for me to ask myself more questions, like, why am I like this? Or why does that trigger me? Why does that thing in my chart? Or why did I pull that tarot card and that's making me feel some type of way? Ooh, I better sit with that. Like, why is that making me... Gemini, for example, the dark side or the shadow side is like flakiness and gossipy and all this stuff. And when I was younger, I used to look at that stuff and get defensive. I'd be like, I'm not that, I'm not this. And now it's like, I can sit here and confidently say, no, I'm not those things, but I have had to work on not being some of those things. Like I've had to sit with myself and ask myself questions like, why do I get defensive about that? Does that mean there's a little bit of truth to it? Yeah. And I just was shutting that part of myself out. And so when I started to answer those questions, I actually became much less of those things. And now I feel like I'm not those things, right? So I think like whenever people look at their shadow side, or like back to tarot, if you like pull a card and you're kind of like, ooh, this one's not nice. It's like, why do you feel so defensive about it? Like, let's take a second, right?
Sure. And it's funny because it's like, oh, even like I pull tarot and stuff as well, right? I was doing the reading yesterday for a friend of mine, right? And I'm like literally just pulling the cards, and it's like the death card, and I see like their face and they watch the scary movies, and I'm like, it's just like a metamorphosis of like how you feel. Like this is just a new era type deal. But when you see it like that, it's like, oh God, what's happening, right? And so it's just like we can, I think there's like a demystification. I do think it's a tool, and like, yes, take it with a grain of salt, but I also believe that like there is something that's happening there. And I think when you get with a practitioner that you resonate more with, you get answers versus maybe just reading it in a book solo or asking ChatGPT, hey, what's my sign? It's like,
it'll give you the bullet points of what the internet says.
It doesn't know. And that's okay, right? I'm not saying it will never know, but it's just one of those circumstances to where it does matter as to like who you're investing time in. So whether like not everyone's going to relate to me, that's cool, right? But there's somebody else who's going to be able to.
Have you ever given someone a reading and that person is very defensive about their reading and they're just like, no, that's not, or they kind of give you a hard time about it?
No, I'm the best.
He said, no, that doesn't happen to me.
Not me. No, it's like... During the Overshare, like for me, like it's like I took everything so serious for so long that by the time I finally started doing it, I was like, no, I have this. Yeah. Like even when I was like, oh, I helped change it years ago. Like at the time I was doing it, I'm like, I got this. So it's like, it's one of those, maybe that's just me.
That's good. Well, if y'all want a reading, you know where to find him.
Internet.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do a little ask and you shall receive. Okay, so this segment is I gather questions from people all over the internet. Nice. And I very much don't put a like, give me this type of question. It's literally like, what do you want us to discuss?
Interesting.
And I got this question without anyone knowing who my guest was. And I felt that this question was perfect for you because I get to choose which questions I'm going to ask to which guest.
Yeah, for sure.
And this one was like, I don't know why. I was like, this is perfect for you.
Right. So
this is from Keep It Zen 10 on Instagram. Shout out Karina. She wants to know, if you could create your own planet, what would it be like?
Ooh.
And I just felt like I'm going to save that for the astrologer.
That's kind of fire.
Right?
Planet Maverick. No, it wouldn't be called
Planet Maverick.
Nah, it wouldn't be called that. But
all clones of you.
No. Terrible idea. No, that's not good. That's not good. He's an anomaly. Nah, but I'd say like if I could make my own planet, right? I think it would be just like a carbon. Like I have a really strong feeling where I'm like, things are supposed to be the way they are for a reason, right? So it's like, I think it'd be like a very close copy to here, but just without some of the very strong problems like homelessness and like food and stuff. But like, I think sometimes you make your own planet and we still run into the same issues. That's why like it's hard for me to be like, oh, and don't get me wrong, I love space. I love the Star Wars. I love like all that type of like sci-fi, etc. You know, and like, but it feels like even in those stories, like we still run into the same type of thing.
Otherwise, you have this like, utopian world, which like Is that too boring? Like, would a utopian world be too boring?
I tell you, I think so.
Right?
I think if everything was like fully in a utopia, like nobody would have, if there was no problems, it would be a problem.
Yeah. Because then there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to have discussions about.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's like yin yang. Without the light, you don't have the dark. Without the dark, you don't have the light.
Yeah.
So on your perfect planet, you would still keep like problems, just not the big like starving children and homelessness and whatever else, and like political war and stuff like that.
There'd be stricter things for people who like do want to do bad stuff. Like it's just like a, hey, you could, but we have ramifications for that.
So it wouldn't be like the movie. What's that movie called where there's one day where you could kill everybody? What is it called? Oh my God.
The Purge.
Yeah. The Purge was like, what's, you wouldn't have that in place at your planet?
Maybe not that extreme, but I don't know. I don't have a planet. So.
Imagine that.
Maybe it's for the better. Who knows? No, but yeah, I don't know. I think it would have a lot of vegetation though, for sure.
Vegetation?
Yes. I would want like not city gardens, but I want like, if I did have like a thing, it'd be like the combination of like technology and nature, like in like a harmonious way. Cause I think they work very similarly, but like.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. I would agree with everything you say. And I'm just going to add, because I just am thinking about like, how cool would it be if every single person on that planet, person or alien, whatever, on the planet had to do the thing that they loved for your career? Like it was almost like required of you, like find your passion and do that thing instead of like going to school and just like learning a bunch of random subjects. Like you have to do the thing. Imagine like a world where everyone's actually doing what they love. Every single person.
Right. And I think that's something I think could work versus like the other part where I'm like, no, there's still gonna be problems. I think like if everyone was doing what they love, like that's.
And people still have problems. Like people are still gonna die. People are still gonna get broken up with. People are still gonna like lose their job or whatever. Like those problems exist, but then everyone's like still doing what they love. Yeah. So like.
And then I think that's a different like conversation entirely, because then it's like, oh man, this horrible thing happened, but now I'm gonna go do what I love today.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you feel better.
Yeah.
Do what you love, kids.
Planet.
It's crazy because what we're talking about is like we can create that on Earth, and some of us are living that out. You know what I mean? Just so like it's what I always go back to is like, do what you love. You have this one life that we know of. We may have more, but we're only aware of this one, and you might as well have fun and do things that you want to do and not be on the deathbed saying I shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know, because you can and you will and you should.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyways. Okay. So now I want to move on. I'm gonna move on to note to younger self. If you were talking to young Chad.
Yes.
Okay. So pretend like you're on your deathbed and you're talking to young Chad. What would you say to him?
I think I would just be posted up like my granddaddy was. I'm so serious. Like, I think like I learned so much just through the energy of that versus anything else. And like, I have this joke that I make about things sometimes to where it's like, you know, everybody's in contact with like their higher self or their angels or however they want to frame it, like all the time, right? And I'll just always have this joke where I'm like, I feel like mine just be laughing at me. It's just like, look at you, stupid. And I'm like, yo, but I'm like, that is me though. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. Cause like, what would I tell younger Chad? You know, like it's all gonna work out. Everything's gonna be okay. Like I don't know what I would, honestly, or if I would at all. I think I would just mess with him and just be like,
you'd be a troll.
Yeah, or I would introduce him to cool stuff. Like, oh, you didn't get maybe you like, here's an experience. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I watch so many movies where it's like somebody like visits their younger self or something, and it's like, what can you really change? Like, does it change? I think this is where I get a little bit more like,
you get you're getting introspective about it.
Of course. I mean, honestly, I'll just pat him on the head. Like, you'll learn how to walk like a regular person. You'll stop being lopsided one day. And
is that what it was? You were lopsided?
I have a big blank head. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if we could curse or not. Anyway, but
sure. Why not?
Got a big ass head. I never not had a big ass head. So when I was a teenie, it's just,
you were really
wobbling with it. Yeah, 100%.
So you would tell him, don't worry, you'll walk just fine one day. You'll grow into your head.
Yes, I think that'll actually For some reason, I'd be like, I get it.
You're proportionate now.
Yes, I'm like, I get it now. I think honestly, if I'm actually being serious, I think like just genuinely speaking, like I think when I was a kid, I definitely felt way more isolated. I was in a place that was like a lot more racist than they would like to come off as, and so I really felt out of place like for a really long time because I would be surrounded by my family, very Black, very everything else. Then I would be sent to school and I'm like the odd one out in every scenario, like every case. So I'll just be like, yo, like this is what's actually going to make you able to like do the stuff that you want to do later. And I think that'd be the one thing that I would like be like, hey, yo, this some bullshit, but you're going to be all right.
Yeah, there we go. We dug deep and look at you now, us doing astrology.
On the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Life
all
changes.
those white people you grew up around, they could listen to, watch you now.
It's cool. And it's just like, I'm not even like mad at it. It just was a reality.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, it was a reality at the time. And so it's just like, that is what it is.
It's almost like making peace with the reality, but like continuing to like push forward and doing what you know you want to do. And that's so cute. That's powerful. And yeah, now you can just let everyone know where they can find you if they want a reading, if they just want to follow you. Because you do post a lot of content that like even if someone didn't get a reading, it's like you're spreading valuable messages.
Thank you.
So just let the people know.
I do appreciate it. The people, all the
let
cameras.
them know right here. I have all these cameras. Hi. Hello.
Hey, everybody. It's Chad the Maverick on all social platforms. That's honestly the first way that you find me. My YouTube is where you should probably go. Like that's where I'm the most unhinged in terms of information. But I do my best to try to make it relatable because I think a lot of the times we get into astrological talk and we get very sciencey or very spiritual and very jargony. And I'm just like, hey, you know that thing that just happened outside? This is why. And I think that's a different approach. And I think a lot of people have been able to like that. So Chad the Maverick across the board. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Yeah. Follow him if you're into astrology. Also, like if you're someone who doesn't really know a lot about astrology and you just want to get curious just to see if it resonates, good, that's a good resource too. I've just been learning so much more, just being surrounded, like I said earlier in the podcast. And it's so fascinating to me. Like I've just been learning a lot.
Yeah.
Little by little. And it's almost like there's a never ending amount of information. But it is just so cool. And it really gives you a picture of like, it's like a blueprint, which is so cool. Anyways, this was fun. Thank you so much. Love the conversation. 100%. And I really appreciate everybody for listening, for being here. And we will catch you next time on Dare to Overshare. Bye.
Hey. Peace out, y'all.